Part 72 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger, and in this part we're going to finish the rest of Shawn Driz's testimony. Okay, so it's still Wednesday, July 21st of 2021. Big shocker, to start the day, William Jolson came late, even though court started at 10:30. Okay, so to start off, Shawn admits to 3 physical fights in his entire life. The first was gang members outside of Maurice Driz's Manhattan beach house. Okay. Second was a 2013 Beverly Hills nightclub. And the third was our 2015 attempted unalivings. So at this point, we present Shawn Driz's tweets where he glamorizes violence and taking things, ingesting things that I discovered and I gave to my attorneys to give to the judge to make admissible for this court. Everything I submitted was made admissible. Just want to put that out there. And so they read some of the tweets. And by the way, part 34 of my series, if you want to refresh yourself, the entire part is just tweets of Shawn of like homophobia, racism, misogyny, immaturity, everything. Just ugh. You can get a whole picture of who he is as a person. So they read some of those tweets and Shawn goes, "I was a child." And they go, "Well, how old were you?" He's like 24. And they go, "You're an adult." And Shawn goes, "Whatever you want to call it." Then Shawn begins lying again, and he says that Jacob Castellan of TMZ is the one that started the brawl. He says he never hit Castellan, and he says Castellan never said that either. So we pull out his 2018 deposition, and I quote, Shawn said, "I punched him." Shawn then admits on the stand that he observed his father and his uncle Maurice and Alberto Driz assaulting the second TMZ pap, Robert Srirachi, who, remember, he was suddenly removed from everything, and Jacob Castellan changed his story to, "Oh, Robert wasn't even there. He just happened to drive by after the fight." And of course, after Shawn admitted this, he immediately took it back and says, "No, he never saw that." Oops. I'm just pulling up a picture. This was Shawn in Turks and Caicos during week 1 of our trial 2 weeks prior. At this point in the testimony, Shawn refers to me as an animal green, I guess you could say. And then he says, and I quote, "I'm really concerned about myself today." Yeah, no, we got that. And I'm keeping this picture up here because this was during week 1 of the trial. But he actually says that he hasn't missed a single day in court in 6.5 years. And the judge steps in and she goes, oh dear. Just remember you're under oath, okay? And then we remind him that he skipped the first day of the trial to be on a mega yacht in Turks and Caicos. But Shawn turns around on the stand and he's like, "No, my bankruptcy filing I did the night before that protects me, the automatic stay." And he says, no proceedings were supposed to move forward. He's fully saying everybody showed up to court and we were all supposed to go home and just, sit on our hands because he was on a yacht. And when our attorney said to him, "Yeah, no, you were on a yacht in the Caribbean," Shawn said, "That's irrelevant. I was on business with his cousin Sergio Siderman, whose name is on the illegal trust fund of Annabella Driz." Annabella Driz earlier this year with her good friend and I'm guessing employer, Jessica Alba, and I will be tagging Jessica for a lot of these parts of the civil trial since Annabella comes up quite often and since Annabella is sitting on millions and millions of dollars that were illegally donated into this trust fund and sold for millions. Jessica, you need to know this and maybe say something, speak up. Can't forget about this cozy picture with his longtime girlfriend, Christina Schwarzenegger. This picture was taken a few months after this trial ended. Isn't that sweet? How come Christina and none of these people showed up to support him? It's almost like they know everything was wrong and corrupt and illegal and they just didn't want to help him publicly, but definitely help him behind the scenes. I'm going to keep this up for a second. So, asked if he respects women, Shawn replied, "All day long." Again, please go watch part 34 of my series. Just take a gander. It's not too long and it's pretty insightful. Okay. So we pull up one of his tweets that I found and submitted, and it says, "Looking for a girl that'll do whatever the F I say. Every day she'd be giving it up. Congrats, Christina." Then Shawn was asked if he was shocked during this trial to see his uncle Alberto lie and perjure himself earlier when he said that he physically couldn't close his right hand and then he closed it maybe 10, 15 times without knowing while talking to the jury and everything. And then we saw the photo. Anyways, yeah. And Shawn said, yeah. Then we get to the part in the trial, and this happens many times for the rest of the trial, where Shawn starts speaking in third person. I can't make this stuff up. He says, So the answer to me, Shawn Driz, is no. He starts talking. Shawn then admits to seeing his uncle Alberto close his fist, his right hand, 3 different times in court. Like, then when Shawn is asked about one of the times he violated probation and the restraining order that I had against him, for example, the one when he left the courtroom with Harvey Weinstein's attorney and he looked at me and he said, "Have a nice day," he actually says, "I don't remember doing so, but I may have." Then Shawn is asked about violating his probation the other time when he showed up to my deposition, which we've gone over. There's a video, there's a transcript, everything. Shawn still denies attending it. So the judge pulls up the deposition transcript and she goes, "Present, Shawn Driz." So then Shawn is asked again why he showed up to that deposition of mine to taunt me, and he denies it again. However, okay, so this is the transcript from this trial. So he then says, well, he's very O.J. Simpson-y in this thing, which is interesting because their attorney has been Robert Shapiro. He says, well, let's say in a hypothetical situation that I did go there. Maybe it warrants a question. Do you fear me? Who did absolutely nothing to you that night? I just want to get the record straight. That's why I asked that. That's hypothetically why I may have asked that. I do not recall being there. He's such a liar. And then Shawn starts speaking in third person again, and he says, "You're asking me questions about other people, not about Shawn Driz." Then he lies and perjures himself again, and he says that no white powder was found in his home during one of the probation violations. It was. There were 6 police officers. There was hearings for it. It was. He just lies so easily. Shawn also then mentions that he hung out with a lot of rich and famous people at the time this all went down. And here's where like Matlock, Ally McBeal stuff starts happening. This is so embarrassing. So Maurice, his father, stands up and he's like, he interrupts and he's all loud and he's like, "Your Honor, the attorney is leading him." And our attorney goes, "I'm allowed." And he goes, "He's leading him, Your Honor." And the judge goes, "He's allowed to. Sit down." Then Shawn is asked, was Matt Green being violent when he was unconscious? Shawn answered, yes. Then court is interrupted again because the guy with throat cancer starts screaming again and making a scene, and he interrupts the court again. Then Shawn claims that every single one of his friends has had a falling out from him, like he lost all his friends because of this, except, and this is according to all the Instagram screenshots I took since the assaults, except for Chris Pratt, Patrick Schwarzenegger, Ray Nicholson, Christina Schwarzenegger, Catherine Schwarzenegger, Maria Shriver, Corbin Holt, Jared Moreno, Alex Derble. I could go on. Here's one of my favorite quotes from Shawn Driz, and he said, "I believe I 100% was a victim." Don't throw up in your mouth. Don't do it. And another quote. Remember how he denies coming to me in the depot and taunting me and saying, "I just want to know if you're in fear of me, plain and simple." He denies ever saying that, but he actually says the phrase plain and simple a total of 7 times during this one trial. And this is one of the times he says, "I couldn't believe what had happened that night." Plain and simple. The same language he used when he taunted me. Then minutes later, Maurice Driz interrupts court again, yelling, and he goes, "He's leading again, Your Honor." And the judge is like, "He's allowed to." Anyways, that was the end of his thing. Finally, Shawn gets off the stand. He must be exhausted from perjuring himself. And now we can move on to the next part in the next day. Thanks, guys.